Namaste, welcome to Courtroom. Today we have with us Nikita Rakhra, who secured rank 15 in NLSAT 2024. She was one of our first online batch students back in July of 23, who joined the full batch for NLSAT, MHCT, CUET, PG, and that includes mock test series. वो काफी लोगों को confusion हुई पिछली बार में कि didn't that and you have to take it from outside or somewhere, any which way. So Nikita ji, शुरुआत करते हैं. Firstly, tell us part A, part B score so that anyone who's watching this has a fair idea as to what all to do in part.
Yes, sir. So part A में I got 61.25 and part B I got 35.25. And so my percentile overall was 97.4.
Right. So basically, everyone who has a very good rank in NLSAT has around a 60 plus in part A is the pattern that I've observed. Usually
Yes.
around minimum to 58 pluses ही हैं. And part B, to everyone scored a slightly on the lesser side this year because they used to give much more marks than this in 2 and 23 wale papers. So now, Nikita, presume that I am a younger version of yourself because this is a session as to how you will detail out. Let us say that if I were you from June 23, what will you, and let us say that I am planning to take up law, right? How will you, now you have the experience of the exam, you've gone through the grind, you know pretty much what the exam requires, what it does not. So let's detail out. Let us start out with part A as to what will you recommend and what will you and
Yes,
how
sir.
go about it. Primarily, how did you go about it? What will you recommend? And like what all did you do throughout the year?
Yes, sir. Okay, so पहले I graduated in June 2023. So I actually took a gap year and it wasn't to study for the NLSAT specifically. I took a gap year for health reasons, but then I knew I could study for these exams on the way. And it was my first time writing any of these law entrances. So I started preparing in July. And I first started with the NLSAT because I knew that was my top choice college. Um, but I also knew the pattern, and so part A is reading comprehension and part B is essays. So I knew one thing that I had to build up is just my reading speed and just my comfort with reading. So the first thing I did was I just started reading a lot of books. So that I think everyone can do because reading is fun. And you won't even feel like you're really preparing. Just take any fictional book and start reading, and then slowly go on to opinion pieces and long form essays. Read the newspaper. That's what I did. So, pehle, I mean, I won't lie, I found it difficult to get into the groove of studying. So that's why I started out with these books, and then slowly, I started going to reading comprehensions. So you had already shipped the first two mocks. So I went through part A, and I did. So I didn't. So I just went through it. I didn't actually attempt it. I just read the passages, and kind of got a sense of how it works. Like what type of passages they give us, and what they're questioning us and examining us on. So I read the passages a few times and then I answered it. I Even though I read it before, I got lots wrong, so that's fine. Um, and I then Googled different reading comprehension passages. So there are lots of exams that have reading comprehension, GMAT, LSAT India, LSAT US. So there are PDFs available online. So you can just take those and read those. So along with Sir's course, I also did that because I'd gone through the course once and then I took a break from the course and then I went to the other reading comprehensions and then I came back and went through the videos again. So that's what I did. I made sure to go through the videos a few times and just kind of understand how to read the passages because that's important. because you don't have enough time to read the passage completely. You need to figure out, like, if you're reading, like Sir said, if you're reading it, you have to make up questions in your mind. And that's what I practiced a lot. Like, I read a passage and I'm like, okay, they're going to ask me this now. And it was similar questions. So you have to build up that reading comprehension and be comfortable with reading. So the first few months of NLSAT prep, that's all I did. I didn't even look at part B. I think that helped a lot because so one thing about me, I was very stressed about part A because I knew that only if I part A में अगर अच्छा करोगे, then only they'll correct part B. So and one thing that I noticed, mocks में I would always mark the wrong answers. Like question 2 का answer I would mark for 1. So I really had to like sit down with myself and tell myself that it's fine, you know what you're doing, and like just mark the correct answer and don't rush. Read the questions properly. You can of course read or like skip out stuff in the passage, but please read the question properly, because those are the mistakes I did in the beginning and I really messed up. So and one thing in these first few months that I realized is that it is a very big exam, NLSAT, NLS ka great college, but you can't put so much pressure on yourself also that it starts interfering with your prep. Because I had started thinking that, oh, it's so hard, I won't even get in, then what's the point? And I remember for 2 weeks I didn't study because I kind of felt like it's fine, I'll just focus on the other exams, what's the point? So that's one thing I think you'll keep feeling throughout prep, like throughout this 1 year that you're preparing. So you kind of need to bring yourselves back and just get through it, because everyone's in the same boat. It's not like someone is oh so special and they have and like a very big edge on you. You're all writing the paper, you're all like around 2021, and you'll be fine. That's one thing I had to tell myself constantly during when I was preparing. And I started part B prep in October. So part B, I would so again the mock sir gave, I would answer it without seeing sir's video, and then I would go back and then compare the notes he gave and the points he gave, and then I would rewrite my answer. And then I would compare the two and make notes of what I can do better and things like that. And another thing I did is with part B, I didn't I would practice just writing to get the speed. Like sometimes I would just Google passages and I would just copy them down to just get the hang of practice, because I know it's only a 2.5 hour paper, and for like good quality answers you need that speed also. You can't just take your time and write, and like you get cramps in your hand, all of those things. My hand started exam, though I had a problem with that, but then because I had practiced, I I could manage my time properly.
That's why
So
send you the hard copies.
yes sir,
कि इसको लिखो भैया.
that helped a lot, because first I also thought that I'll just type it out, but no, I wrote, and I would write like each answer a few times just to get a hang of the thing, especially because I took a gap year and it had been a while since like I was in class writing notes. So I was worried about that, so I focused on just writing. And I think that's something I would suggest everyone to do, because like on the day of the exam there's exam anxiety, you don't realize where the time goes. So just in the back of your head, that you've prepared, that this much time is there for this. So I would suggest that just keep practicing your writing. And with part A and part B, I would also say so every mock I did differently to see what like combination worked for me. So if doing part A if doing part B first worked. So what worked for me is I did the 15 marker essay first. Then I went to part A, did 20 questions. Then I went back to part B, did three questions, and then I just kept alternating between the two because I would get tired writing. So I knew I would then have to take a break from writing and go back. So every mock I did differently like that to see what worked for me. So you have, like, sir gives so many mocks, please use them, see what works for you. And also don't get scared of the mocks. Also, my first mock I did really bad, part B में, because I was panicking, because I was like, what will sir think कि NLS का mock है and I'm not doing well. So I kind of took myself too seriously, and I was thought that I had to sound very smart. But you don't have to sound very smart, you just need to be clear and give your points forth properly. Like basic simple English is fine, you don't have to sound super smart. Which another thing, I during the NLSAT admissions office, they had an online yes. So even there they said, just we want simple stuff, just give forth your opinion and that's fine. And they also said, like, don't like, obviously you are focusing on what the the teacher wants or whoever's correcting your paper, but don't get lost in that. Still make sure that your voice is there, which I found myself doing sometimes. So it is important to think of how they're going to correct, but you can't change your entire approach because of that, because I feel like teachers can tell when you're trying to sound extra smart and be a little fake. So so don't do that, because I did that in the first two mocks. And when I went back and read my answers also, I was like, gee, what is this? So then during the third mock, I was like, okay, because I know how to write, so just stick to the basics. I know how to explain stuff, so that's what I did. So just be calm and don't freak out. And it is an important exam, but don't give it so much importance that it stops you from actually improving.
Now, the thing that Nikita is referring to, just for people who are like watching and can't really make it. So we shipped two mocks. So for this batch, our previous year, two mocks we shipped, so that, because this examination is all about is all about, first and foremost, getting to know the format, because it's a very unique one.
Yes.
It isn't exactly like any other law entrance in the country, I would say. And in fact, the part B portion is without the law, is something like judiciary mains, in which you are writing a judgment, basically. Second pointer is that those mocks that we ship, and then then I make it a point कि I discuss out कि ये answer है क्यों. Those mock discussions are there. And then this year, we didn't used to do this prior to this, but this year, the other three mocks that we conducted at our offline center, we discussed them in the course.
Yes.
Then we took out basically the very good answers from everyone who wrote the mock tests, and we showed कि क्या कर सकते हैं और क्या better कर सकते हैं. And it's a combination of a lot of factors then, which,
yes,
now in my very limited opinion, like for example, two mocks we shipped and three were for this year, right?
Yes, sir.
Practice out, discuss the question papers as to like what exactly is happening. I think पिछले साल वाला नहीं करता, but एक दो question papers करे थे discussion में. तो जो भी part A के जो भी available है, part B तो I think we had 2022 का तो was thoroughly discussed in the course.
Yes, sir.
Part B का तो was thoroughly discussed, and that approach we modified later on in the live sessions as well. Studying the constitution helped or not you? Like for example, you prepared for DU LLB MHCT also.
Yes.
कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन समझने में मेरा तो ओपिनियन है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन भी थोड़ी बहुत पढ़ी होनी चाहिए. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, आई थिंक 4 odd
I agree. Yes, sir. It did help a lot. And even before I saw the paper, I just had like a sense of calmness that I did know like some things from constitution torts, and like if it pops up and I can use it in part B,
Hmm.
that sense of calmness was there because of that, so that helped a lot. And your live sessions which you mentioned for the videos that you uploaded for the part B discussions, that also helped a lot. I watched those a few times also. And like seeing other students answers also help a lot, because they're doing the same thing as you, so you also like see the answers, get the feeling of like, okay, they're doing it, so I can also do it.
Hmm.
So it helps you, you get you get pointers, and just that feeling like, huh, okay, I'll
Now,
figure it out.
basically, in my observation over 3 years of teaching this exam, now there are two approaches. So one approach that Nikita takes, that also works. One other approach is that you quit everything and go for the brute force mock test method, that is enroll in everyone who's offering mocks. I
Yes.
believe Nikita was not enrolled anywhere else.
No.
मॉक्स की पार्ट बी में सब लोग थोड़ा बहुत फीडबैक वगैरह दे देते हैं, बट आई बिलीव द एसेंस ऑफ अ मॉक इज पार्ट ए की डिस्कशंस.
Yes.
का एक फॉर्मूला अगर आपको मोटा माटी समझ में आ जाता है ना लमसम में, आई बिलीव दैट उसके बाद तो इट इज जस्ट राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस एंड प्रैक्टिस एंड प्रैक्टिस, देयर इज नथिंग देन
Yes, sir.
डिस्कशन ही है थोड़ी बहुत. बट पार्ट
Yes.
ए की जो डिस्कशन है विच आई बिलीव इज एब्सोल्युटली क्रूशियल, क्योंकि नहीं तो पार्ट ए में ही अगर ऐसा स्कोर नहीं आएगा. So we discussed both of those mocks. We discussed the other 3 mocks. And in my opinion, ज़्यादा mocks देने से भी दिमाग खराब है. Like if you're like taking 25 mocks,
I
30,
agree.
एक तो it is very difficult to create a mock for this paper. I created like 5, as in 2 पुराने थे, 3 were fresh of this year. प्राण निकल जाते हैं, I kid you not. अच्छा, and then secondly, you have to check that. Now, if there are like 100 students at 5 mocks apiece, that's 500 answer scripts to be assessed. Point number one. Point number two, if like for example, जब भी हम अपनी mock test series खोलते हैं तो उसमें भी 100-200 आदमी. We are like looking at like 1500, 2000 odd answer scripts. And usually क्या होता है? That's why online batch में, like for example, when you mock test series में discussions नहीं होती. Like if someone is in an individual mock test series, those discussions are not there. It's just feedback.
Yes.
पर देखे और राम राम आपकी हमारी राम राम.
Yeah.
In the batches, I believe, and secondly, which people undermine is ki, like our Telegram group or let us say live sessions. When you see other folks who are in the same boat as you, I believe that it really helps out.
It does, sir.
कि भाई
Like
हम अकेले पागल नहीं है, हमें भी
I know.
दूसरों को भी दिक्कत है.
हाँ
और
जी.
मतलब
When like kabhi like this for DU, when people asked like math questions on the group, I felt like, हाँ ठीक है, it's not just me. So same with NLSAT. Read other people's answers. If you can talk to people in your batch and like figure it out, and also just ask doubts, like ask sir doubts, don't be scared. And please also like
मॉक 1 में फीडबैक देना शुरू करा था by the
yeah.
time I started hitting mock 5. So mock 1 wasn't exactly very happy with Nikita's answers. So mock 1 से जब कहानी जो शुरू हुई, when the feedback mock 1 of this, then उन्हीं को डिस्कस कर करके या लाइव सेशन से कर करके ऊपर लेकर आ. बट लाइव सेशंस आई आल्सो डू लाइक थोड़ा टाइम बिफोर द एग्जाम, नॉट वे टू बिफोर. लोग भूल जाते हैं, पीपल जस्ट फॉरगेट.
That's true.
तो वो वैसा सीन है. लेकिन अच्छा, ये मुझे बताओ, लाइक मेनी पीपल हैव दिस क्वेरी कि just for everyone watching, Nikita wasn't enrolled anywhere else, so she managed this with her. एक तो वो LSAT वाले courses जो material we provided, and basically she wasn't in 25-30 odd marks. This was more than enough sufficient prep, और ऐसे भी निकाला जा सकता है. is my point, is basically this. Part B में everyone keeps on looking out for more and more questions to practice, right? What would you say to them? कि कौन सी किताब या कुछ, anything that you referred particularly or anything that you did specifically for part B?
Okay, so one thing that two things that I focused on that helped me. So LSAT US has a section called the writing sample. They don't actually like correct it. It's just something you have to submit so that your paper is accepted. but there are lots of examples on the internet, and it's kind of similar in the sense that they just want clear reasoning. There's no right or wrong. Just say why you're going for a certain side. So it's similar like that to the Part B of NLSAT. So I went through those, and because I'd written the LSAT before, I had already practiced.
Right.
So that helped. And another thing that helped me is one of my majors was English, and because of that, we have written like lots of portfolios every semester. So one thing I struggled with in college also was I wasn't clear. I wouldn't finish one point and I would immediately go to the next because I was just trying to fill space and I wouldn't complete my thought, and then that would confuse the teachers. So this is feedback I got for my portfolios, which I then used for the Part B.
Right, right. That's great.
So I think that's why like Part B, I didn't think I needed more mocks because I thought these were enough, and I did each mock a few times, and because I had like because I did English, because I was constantly reading, I was also trying to pick up like how like opinion pieces in newspapers, how they are written, and stuff like that. So just again, I think reading is most important.
So reading and your basically the background, the culminations of the effort that you
Yes,
where you coming from, both I think worked
yes,
brilliantly. क्योंकि ये होता है, like for example, let us say if someone's from a different background and is at the age of 21, and let us say that you have not done this work because this examination is heavily English dependent,
yes.
because just like CLAT, आई बिलीव क्लैट इज नो डिफरेंट. हाउएवर यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ग्रेजुएशन वाला सीन है. अच्छा, एसेस के अंदर which one did you attempt if you recall this year? क्या टॉपिक आया था?
The meritocracy one.
ओके.
That तो I remember क्योंकि मैंने फर्स्ट ईयर में ऐसे लिखा था कॉलेज में, तो I was like ठीक है अभी ये लिखते हैं. um so I mean of course I didn't remember the essay, but I still had like the points in my head, so I just um wrote. And even
पैसेज तो वो आईसीजे और वो वाला जो आईसीजे जो हमास सॉरी आईसीजे जो इजराइल के ऊपर जो जजमेंट,
yes,
one of the mocks, but similar passage was there in the exam. ऐसी बड़ी सारी like छोटी
yes,
छोटी होती हैं which like alignment में आ जाएं, like 4 questions from the constitution, standard consti pre,
yes,
I believe covered in the very first lecture in the online one. All
yes,
they combine the background and the students' own effort. I believe that is the key thing. Whether someone joins coaching or not, it is just that once you are at it, matlab you have to really extract it out. Like you said, like don't be afraid to ask doubts. You have to, like a student has to extract stuff from me as well.
yes,
Like अगर ऐसे ही बैठे रह जाएंगे कि चलो बस enroll कर लिया, that's akin to people joining the gym on the 1st of January and
yes.
all gone. So
And the thing, part A, like once you've finished part A, like in the mocks, go back to it and read it properly because that will help you in part B also. Because a similar like prompt can come in part B, which is what I'd noticed in your mocks. Like, and you would also mention that to just read part A properly because you can get pointers from there.
yeah.
Because yeah,
जैसे like for example वही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में हम लोग हमेशा बात करते हैं कवि क्या कहना चाहता है और वो सब. आई
yes,
बिलीव even if it is not directly asked in the exam, I believe like for example this year I'm introducing like a short constitution series in the NLSAT only batch, is because I believe that it helps you. You need to have an understanding of fundamental rights. So they may not be asking you which fundamental right is placed where, that doesn't matter in the essays, or it helps to open your mind.
yes,
Not use it directly in part B. However, जब दिमाग खुला होता है ना, like intention of the parties and
yes.
ये basics,
That's very important.
I
That
believe.
helped me a lot. So, like for example, with the Part B essay, um, there's a 70 years reservation in the Constitution that it's mentioned, and it was first, and they've amended it to increase the years. So I'd mentioned that, and I said that um, there is a reason that they keep increasing it, because we need it. So meritocracy in a place like India, like we're not ready for it. So again, because I'd done the constitution, I could bring that point in.
That's a brilliant point. And this is how वो जो वही है, बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है. Like रुपए
Yes,
से आगे हजार and then लाख बनते हैं. It is there these very tiny points that come from our end. Then you tie it up using your intellect, background की like for example,
yes, sir.
then you put in your effort to look up all of these online resources. I believe it is a combo pack, and then you can succeed in this examination.
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, how much time, let us say, so you of course you dropped out because of your health issues, etc. You tell me, let us say that if I am in my final year, okay, and I want to, let us say, crack the NLSAT, I want to secure a seat here. How much time, in your opinion? So let's say that you are mentoring a student, right?
Okay.
How much time?
So if I college mein, like my college was very busy. I hardly had any time. So if your college is similar, I would say start in September, like little every day.
Right.
And like, so that I'm saying start so early, because like sometimes when you are feeling overwhelmed, you can also take a break. Because
Right.
if you start like maybe in December or Jan, you'll feel like I have to do so much and in such little time, and I don't have time for breaks. But sometimes you need those breaks. So the earlier you start, the better. I think September is great
Yeah.
because you can start slowly, and then when you get a hang of just prepping, and when you know how to juggle college and prep, then you can increase your hours of studying. But in the beginning it will be hard trying to figure out how to study for some exams, how to do this. So start early so that by the end of it you're kind of set.
Right. ठीक है जी. I believe that should do. And इसको यहीं पे conclude करते हैं. Anyone who has any want to like ever talk to Nikita, she'll be in NLS, so you can perhaps reach her out somewhere. कहाँ से
Yes,
LinkedIn or some place, some other than that. If some
LinkedIn और मतलब Instagram, जो भी सब everywhere, it's just my name. तो
and I
yeah,
think
I'm always ready to help because
I
I
think
know how important. Okay, yes,
then
sir.
yeah, so like she's saying, so this is what I also want ki like jinka ho gaya hai, जिन्होंने like whatever, you guys also like keep on helping students, क्योंकि student की सुनता है. I believe
Yes, sir.
they think that क्या बोलते हैं, चलो जी ये तो टीचर है, इन्होंने तो अपना काम चलाना, ऐसे कुछ करते रहते हैं. ये नहीं, हाँ ठीक है, वो तो होता ही है, but however the kind of advice that can flow out from a person who has cleared it is always valuable, right? So you can, anyone who wishes to talk can reach out to Nikita, and I think we'll wind it up here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll just end the
Okay.
recording.
Thank you, sir.